Got it. Got it. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brenda, and I work here at the Stitchin Den. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a therapy rice pack. So it's something you could either use, heat it up in the microwave or put it in your freezer to chill for a few minutes, and it'll work both ways. If you have any questions, write it in the chat, and we will respond to your questions. Also, today is double points day, if you didn't know. So anything that you buy, for every $1 you spend, you will get 2 points instead of the usual one. They probably won't show up for a couple days because we have to double them manually, but they will show up. Okay, so I'm going to show you today how to make 2 different kinds of therapy packs. This is the first one, and it's designed to go over your back, and this part goes over your shoulder. And then the other part, the other one is really super easy, but maybe I'll start out showing you this. So I got the design from, for this one from Eleanor Burns, and super easy, but then I saw this other one on the internet. I tweaked it a lot because I wanted to make it perfectly the way I would use it. First of all, the things that you would need for this project. There you go. Okay, you're going to need a cutting mat.
That later button on top. There you go.
You're going to need a cutting mat, a good pair of scissors, a rotary cutter. If you already have one, make sure you put a new blade in. And Debbie is listening to me. I hate to say this out loud, but when I went to use mine, it was so dull. I put in a new blade and I couldn't believe the difference. I like to get the maximum use out of all of my tools. Oh my God, what a difference. So make sure you have a brand new rotary blade in here. You will need either safety pins or these wonder clips, which are wonderful. You will need something to mark your fabric with. We have Checo liners, and we have marking pens. And I was watching Debbie's video earlier this morning, and she used highlighter tape, and I think that would be probably the best solution for this project. As always, you can use that purple thing. I may end up buying one of these today. I always use a chopstick, but this looks like a really cool tool. And you'll need a ruler. So for the first, you also need a funnel, and probably kind of a bigger one, a tape measure, and 2 pounds of jasmine rice. And then I also found this at Hobby Lobby. It's just loose chamomile flowers. You can also use tea bags and open up the tea bags. You can use dried lavender. There's probably all kinds of stuff you could mix in with the rice, but don't use anything moist like an oil, because the rice kind of gets moist when you're heating it up in the microwave anyway. So I don't know what that would do over the long term. I just had a thought and I lost it, so I'll figure it out later. Oh, so you need fabric. For the one by Eleanor Burns, this one, you only need a fat quarter, which is really nice. And we do have this fabric in the shop. And I used a pound of rice in here, but should use, I have it right here. Yeah, this is the fabric that we have in the shop. It's the same thing. Do not use any, this is very important, do not use any fabric with wire, metallic threads in it. Don't use any thread that's metallic, because if you put this in the microwave, your house might catch on fire. So this is Eleanor Burns's method. It's here. So this is 11 by 22. So just get a fat quarter and trim it to 11 by 22. Then you're going to hem the short side of the fabric. And then with the right sides together, let me do it this way. Open up this one. So pretend this is the right size. Okay, so you're going to hem one of the short sides like that. And then you're going to, with the right sides together, fold it in half. And then you're going to seam it along the long edge. And then after you do that, you're going to just move it so the seam is running down the middle instead.
Linda, we have a question. Is the sheet fabric flannel?
Yes,
And can you tell me what the name of that fabric is?
sure.
Sorry. Everyone wants the sheet fabric, but I
It should say right in the tab.
Yeah. So the name of this fabric is
Farmhouse.
Farmhouse Flannels.
thank you.
Okay, so now I pretend I've already seamed this. I put it in the center. I press it and then I turn it right side out. And then I will fill it up with the rice. So fill it up 2/3 full. So mine, the one I made is only about half full, and it works because it makes it very, you can adjust it around your neck and your shoulders however you want, but ideally it should be about 2/3 full. And then you sew the remaining opening closed and you're done. So this one's very, very easy. Okay, and the next one. Instructions here. So what you're going to do is you need a half a yard of fabric. Flannel is really nice to use. So I've done mine with one side flannel, the side that goes closer to your neck, and the other side just a regular cotton. So I just picked up some cute combinations here. So this one's the flannel. There's the front. This is a flannel. There's the other side. I mean, we have a million combinations here. So they're all on our website if you want to take a look there. So you start out with 2 pieces of 18 by 24 inch fabric. One side is the flannel and one side is the cotton. Okay. So then in the right order here. So then you're going to fold the long left side and the right side of the fabric with a 5/8 inch seam. So I'm talking about this edge. I have right sides together. And you want to fold this with a 5/8 inch seam and then fold it again and press it. Because later after we fill this, you want to be able to just stitch it up and have the seam all nice and finished. So I did that on both sides. Here are the Wonder Clips, which I really like. They're so easy to use. I poked myself so many times with straight pins. I was like all black and blue afterwards. Okay, so we press those. Now we're going to carefully cut out this middle. So the measurements are, this is, let's see. So this part is 6.5 inches, down 10 inches, across here 5 inches, Again, 10 inches and 6.5 inches across. So if we look at this diagram, and we have this pattern available on the website. Oh, it's in the chat. Okay. So it's 18 by 24. And then 6.5, 10, 5, 10, 6.5. Be very careful when you cut this portion. Don't use a rotary cutter, use the scissors. Because it's really easy to just keep going at this point, and then it won't be perfect. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to sew over the folded edge with a 5/8 inch seam over this way, down, over, back up again, and over. And then you're also going to, at the bottom, stitch a 5/8 inch seam across here, going over the folded edge to keep that really neat. Then you're going to trim everything because this is going to be turned inside out, and you want to make sure that you have nice sharp corners. So cut close to that edge right there, and then you can trim the seam.
Just a quarter inch seam. Why don't you sew just a quarter inch seam?
I could. This is just the way I did it, I guess.
Okay.
And then clip the corner up as close as you can without cutting through the seam allowance, the thread. And then same thing here. I'm going to cut close to that corner. And then trim this seam as well. I guess I was following the other pattern and just tweaking it as I went along. And she used 5/8 inch seams for everything. Okay, you get the picture. Then we're going to turn this inside out.
So everyone in your family's getting rice packs. Did you have like
These are my Mother's Day presents for my girls.
you have multiples there?
Yes, I do. So then we turn it right side out and see how my corners now are pretty sharp. I could always do better, but, and then I have the bottom seam here. So at this point, I'm going to top stitch back along just to make it look, even on all sides. I'm going to top stitch along here. Plus we're putting rice in here, so we want to make sure that everything is really kept inside of this rice pack. Top stitch along there, and across. Now, oh, and I'm also going to top stitch the bottom. So now we're going to make the channels on this rice pack. So if I look at my original, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 channels on the bottom, and I have, sorry, I don't want to make you dizzy here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top. So we want our channels to be about 1.5 inches wide. The first one I did was 1 inch, and it took me forever to fill this thing up with rice. Okay, so we're going to start on this side. And we're going to take our funnel. No, we're not. We're going to line the different channels. So start out with this seam here. So wherever I top stitched here, I'm going to continue that across here and here so that it looks nice and even all the way across. Because the first one I did, I was zigzagging all over the place. Okay, so then we're going to sew our seams. The sewing machine is close to 1/2 inch. It might be a little over, it might be a little under, but that seemed to work out the best. And it's nice and even. If you're not perfectly even, it's fine. Then you're going to take, so this edge was open. Let's see if we have- oh, here we go. So you can see here how I marked all of my seams. And then there'd be a seam across here. So you would just take, let's start on this side. So this is sewn across here. So then I could just take this off. This is sewn now. And I'm just going to take my funnel and fill it up with rice. And the other combination that you might have, it like the chamomile or whatever. You're going to be so tempted to want to fill this up. Don't do it. It took me 3 tries before I finally learned my lesson. So you fill it up about 2/3 full, just kind of eyeball it. And you just keep doing that all the way down to the U on this side. So these will all be filled up. Then you can go ahead and top stitch along here just to seal that part in. It's, well, you're only filling the rice like 2/3 full, so you have plenty of room to fight that. I didn't have a problem with that at all. Okay, so you've got all your seams in, filled up with the rice. Now you can go and stitch all the way down this long end, all the way to the bottom. Top stitch it. And it's already, since we already folded this twice, it's going to be a nice looking finished edge. Okay, then you take all the pins out and we'll finish stuffing from the right side. So you do the same thing on this side. This is already stitched close here and here. So you just start filling it from this side. You stick your funnel in, pour your rice and chamomile combination, about 2/3 full. So it's like, I can feel it right here. It's about right to here. So I only have rice up to this point here. So you finish all those, flip them back up as you're going along, and the rice really won't fall out because you have so much empty space at the end of this. So then you start doing the long edge and you stitch all the way across, you fill it up with rice. Again, I was kind of using, as I was filling it, this edge, and I was filling it to the end of this U here. So I was just filling the rice up to, let's see, up to here. So it's filling it all up to this point. That's about 2/3 of the width of the whole thing. And then I go on to the next one. Again, you will be so tempted to fill this up more. You're going to think it's too loose, but believe me, you want it, it won't conform to your body otherwise. This is the first one I did. And you could see it's stiff. I should be able to fold this in half. It's just very, very stiff. And I'm afraid it won't last as long either if it's stuffed so full. And I reheat it over and over again. So once you have this whole thing filled, and you're going to have to maneuver it a little bit. So once you put the ice in, you're going to have the rice in. You're going to have to kind of shake it down, kind of push it down to the bottom so it stays out of your way, because you don't really want ice poking through the seams, rice poking through the seams. Something like that. If I say ice, you know I mean rice. Because then it'll give you an escape hatch for more rice particles to come out. So once you get that all done, all you do is then sew all along this seam. And this one was folded as well, and it was marked. So again, if you top stitch across, it's just going to be a nice folded edge. The original one I did called for a binding, but I hated that because it just doesn't look as finished. It's hard to get around all these corners and everything. So that's kind of how I came up with the design that I have. It just gives it a nice, more finished look. When you're done, you can either microwave it for 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your microwave. Mine, 3 minutes was too much. But they cool off, or you can put it in the freezer and just make a couple, have one for warm, have one for cold therapy, and enjoy. I think, yeah, I think that's all I have. Any questions?
How long does that rice last?
I have rice packs for a long time and
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they
can't.
seem to have lasted.
Yeah, if you put any essential oils in there, I think that would kind of create a mold issue. So I would not recommend using that at all.
And white jasmine rice is.
I don't know.
Just says,
I think you can also use like other fibers like walnut, brown walnut shells. Buckwheat.
jasmine rice over white rice.
The first one I used was white rice. It was fine. I just looked up other directions and they called for jasmine rice. So I really like the way, so when you're cooking this in the microwave, warming it up, kind of has a nutty smell to it. When I use the chamomile, it was just, it's not a real strong sensation, but it's just, chamomile is known for helping you relax. So I decided to put that in. Any other questions?
I'm gonna switch your camera to you, okay?
Yep.
All right. We're going to get the pattern. I can print you one since you're here, but I can put the pattern in the chat again too for people.
So this pattern,
So you made this pattern, right, Brenda?
I made this pattern. I don't know if you can switch back so I can see this down.
Sure.
So this kind of shows the first stitching that you do is going to be following these lines. Oh. Okay. And remember, we have a 5/8 inch seam along here, so I like to mark them after I turn it inside out and then mark it so that they're more even. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really short seam on the bottom, and that's gonna be hard to fill. And then this is the first part that you fill, the short end. And then you stitch it down, and then you go over to this side and you fill the short part and the long parts. It's really pretty easy. I'm pretty forgiving too. If you're off a little bit, you can do it with 2 fat quarters, but then I found that the arms here weren't long enough, and I felt like I have to keep pulling on them so that it wouldn't fall down my back.
Louise said, great idea, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? So the next person that's coming up is Anne. And Anne is going to be doing pineapple paper piecing. And you can kind of, oh no, you can't see. Oh yeah, it's right here.
Oh,
She's making a table runner, right?
Yes.
It's a placemat. This is.
Oh, placement. Okay. So she'll be coming up on 3:15. All of the links, I think we only neglected to record one of the sessions, but they'll show up in our newsletter next week showing, so you can review all of these different demonstrations.
Great, thank you, Brenda.
Thank
Welcome.
you.